Horoscope for August 2023. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to give you a rundown of what the planets are doing in August and how that's going to influence you specifically as a Gemini. And by Gemini, I mean people who have sun sign Gemini first and foremost, then the ascendant or the rising sign Gemini, or the moon in Gemini when they were born, right? So this is kind of an interesting month, and for you guys, you're walking on the wild side a little bit, or there's an element of danger involved, in the sense of you could say the wrong thing or really misread a situation and have a couple of social snafus, or become enchanted with something that afterwards you kind of have no affinity with whatsoever. But particularly in terms of ideas and fleshing out ideas and making plans that you then regret afterwards or don't really connect with afterwards. And the reason I'm saying that is because from the 22nd of July until the 3rd of September, we have Venus, the planet of love and beauty and creativity, and that's in retrograde, right? And when one of the personal planets, like Venus, is in retrograde, it appears to go backwards, the energy of that planet is stifled. And because Venus is responsible for communication and creative outpouring and affection and love and sex, all of those things are going to be more complicated. And for you guys, Gemini, Venus is in your third house of communication. One of the houses in your chart, which is really, really important, because as a Gemini, your ruler being Mercury, the communication planet, communication is something that's kind of important to you guys. So you've got a lot of fiery energy in that third house here at the beginning of August, and really for the majority of August. At the beginning, you've got the Sun in Leo, the transiting midheaven in Leo, Black Moon Lilith in Leo, and Venus in retrograde in Leo, in your third house of communication. So I think you're going to really be very motivated and encouraged to speak your truth and your mind, and to present and to go out there and to showcase yourself. So if you're a performer, you're not going to have stage fright here in August. So if that's something that is an ongoing issue for you to kind of put yourself out there, August will really help you with it. However, there is a catch. Because Venus is in retrograde, it is likely that sometimes you will get the wrong end of the stick, or that you express something in a way that it comes out in a way that you hadn't intended. So there's the potential for error, right? And let's say you're doing, someone just called me Jeffrey. My name's Gregory. But thank you anyway, good morning. If you're looking to launch your one-man show or your one-woman show, and you've worked on it for 30 years, right? I'm exaggerating, but this is really your baby, something you really care about, and the way you present yourself on opening night is super, super important for the run of the show and all of it. Please don't launch it here in August, and especially from the 22nd of July until the 3rd of September, while Venus is in retrograde, because any of those attempts to really, communicate your truth and have people understand the real you and see to the core of who you are, that's going to be very challenging during this period. So it's a great time to kind of engage and to communicate and to express yourself in new ways, and in ways which aren't that formal or carry such weight, So rather than the big opening night that you're going to remember in 30 years from now, going out with friends and having a good time, or dancing or exercising or hiking or doing things that make you feel joyful and alive, those are the things to pursue. Now, on the 1st of August, we have a full moon in Aquarius, and that happens in your 9th house of education and making your own life bigger, and the higher realms, and travel, and personal expansion, right? The moon is the way you feel. It's what makes you feel at ease. And with it being at 4 degrees in Aquarius, the beginning of August for you guys, Gemini, to travel or to study or to kind of open yourself to new ideas is going to feel very comforting and supporting. So I think you'll be super curious at the beginning of August. So give yourself things to engage with, things that, get the wheels turning and that make you feel excited. All of those things, go for it. It may even offer up information about other avenues you can take in future when it comes to your work, when it comes to your career. So the energy is pretty much in your third house for the first 2 weeks here in August. You've got Mercury, the communication planet, your ruler, that's in your fourth house in Virgo. So fourth house is your family, your roots, what you call home as such, or what makes you feel at home. And Mars, the planet of drive and ambition, is also in Virgo in your fourth house. So it's interesting because you may be very light-hearted and chatty and willing to, travel and have these new experiences. But at the same time, I think you're very conservative when it comes to protecting your securities. This is my family, this is my home, this is where I live. And there could even be a sense of worry that if you don't safeguard everything, that things are going to go awry and be taken from you. So there's this weird floating anxiety that's happening. And I really don't think that there's anything you need to worry about. It's the kind of thing when you go to a dinner party and everyone's being really friendly or something, and you say something and you don't really consider it too much, and you're just saying something off the cuff, and it's the wrong thing to say and it goes down like a lead balloon, right? Then the next day you may wake up and you're like, oh no, what did I say? I'm so embarrassed. It's that kind of feeling of fearfulness, or I can't trust my own judgment or statements, that then for a lot of people that anxiety causes them to kind of buckle down a little bit, to shut everything down, to make it smaller, and to say, okay, we're in danger here, we need to protect everything. So that's the thing I would like you to avoid, because there isn't any real danger in terms of your practical circumstances or your long established connections, relationships. The only thing I think that is a danger is putting your foot in it, saying the wrong thing, appearing foolish as a result, and maybe even misinterpreting other people's intentions or what they're saying to you, so that your reaction is a bit off. So those are, in the grand scheme of things, those aren't terrible, dire catastrophes. They're just somewhat inconvenient. So what I'm warning against, or what I'm talking about, is the tendency to overreact and to really try and just secure everything is way over the top, and that's to be avoided. Okay, then on the 16th of August, we have a new moon in Leo, and that also happens in your third house of communication. So Venus is still in retrograde, that's nearby. You're transiting midheaven is nearby in Leo, and then Black Moon Lilith in Leo as well. This is interesting because the new moon is going to pull a lot of Leo energy in, and that's going to encourage you to do things that, again, allow you to share your views, your voice, your opinion, get your point across. And with Venus being in retrograde, you may be interested in things that under normal circumstances have nothing to do with you. So you could discover a new interest. I would just say be a little bit cautious with how much you publicly associate yourself with something, or how much of your time and money you're going to pump into something like that. Because again, when Venus goes direct, you may see the whole thing very differently. So it's an opportunity to learn something new, but it's not a good opportunity to commit yourself to something long term. Yes. On the 23rd of August, at this point, again, if you're trying to crack the whip at home and you decide that, we need more discipline, or I need to renovate the house, like maybe there's been a storm and one of the tiles fell off the roof or something, and instead of just fixing the one tile, it's like, okay, the whole house needs redoing because everything needs to be perfect. Be careful around that kind of thing in the last week of August. Perfectionism, overreacting to circumstances which are outside of your control, and then once you can do something about them, fix those situations, you may have a tendency to go overboard. So just look at that. And Mars is next to it in Virgo as well. So Virgo can have a tendency to worry unnecessarily and to try and get all the information and circumstances laid out nicely in an attempt to control and organize, so there's a sense of security involved. Again, I would go the opposite way. I would do as little as you can with that, and instead I would look at learning new things that inspire you, and kind of learning how to accept not always getting it right. And not worrying so much is the key thing. Because in fact, with this kind of energy, I think that if you obsessively worry about something and then take action based on those worries, I think that you're even entrenching yourself in the problem. So I think a hands-off approach is much better. On the 28th of August, we've got Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and unexpected, going retrograde, and it goes retrograde in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength, and it's next to Jupiter, the lucky planet, which expands everything. So that's kind of interesting because at the end of the month, you may now kind of get an epiphany around things like, well, this is what's actually important to me, you know, like the area where I live, and things that have been important in the past may not be so important. So your priorities are changing here at the end of the month, and it's kind of as a result of a spiritual connection where you're getting guidance to make changes in future, September onwards, that are then going to create different circumstances and make you kind of step back and say, oh wow, I thought differently, so now I have a different result. So the trend here, going from the beginning to the end of August, is kind of like you being a little obsessive and saying, I need to control, and the universe saying, hey, let go of control, good things are coming your way anyway, and just align yourself with that process. So the more you can accept things and have a good time and see what shows up, the better a time you'll have. And like I said before, intervening in earnest and trying to perfect everything is a big no-no. And anyway, you're Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. Leave the obsessive control stuff to your cousin Virgo, also ruled by Mercury. But that's not really your bag, if that's an expression. You're more about expressing and putting information out there and contributing than you are about analyzing and taking stock of what's been said in the past. So try and avoid that mode. Yeah. Okay, finally at the end of the month on the 30th, we have another full moon. We have a full moon in Pisces, and that's the second full moon in August. So that's called a blue moon, and it's also a supermoon. It's the nearest that it's going to be to the Earth in the entire year. So because the moon is so close and it's a supermoon, it appears bigger, and also it has a bigger influence. And that happens in your 10th house in proximity to Saturn and Neptune, 10th house being career and work. So again, at the end of the month, you'll get some really kind of otherworldly ideas around the future of your work or what you're working on. So try and be open-minded and not to dictate everything yourself. So that's what I get for you in August. I hope you have a wonderful month. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. If you like this video, then hit subscribe, share the video online, and I can't remember the other one. Have a fabulous August, and I'll speak to you soon.